Hey, welcome back everybody. Glad you guys are joining in for today. It is really nice having the F4 back so we can continue making progress. So some questions that we did get from last week was, why did we move hangars? Well, we have a couple of reasons. One, we really wanted to clean out the hangar that she was in, which is just a couple down the row here. And that gave us the perfect opportunity to do that, especially while she was at Lone Star. For those of you that were able to make it to Lone Star for any of the events or just while she was there for the month, glad you guys were able to see her. And yeah, it's not often she goes on public display, and that was awesome that we could support that, but it's also nice having her back so we can continue working on her. Like I said, we're making progress. We're getting a lot more organized with what's needed to get done, what's needed around the hangars as far as ground servicing equipment, and that was a whole big driving thing with this too. Also, with having her here, we're a lot closer to the refrigerator for cold drinks because we're really starting to get warm outside to the point that we generally don't work past 12 or 1 o'clock because it gets really hot in here. And then if you look behind me, we're a lot closer to all the technical orders, all the TOs, all the manuals. So that's another big bonus too. So if we need to get something just a few feet over, and we can just go grab it instead of having to walk down the whole hangar road just to come find the right book or going back and forth. So that's what we got going on here at the hangar. So with all the organization and whatnot, coming up with punch lists for various items, one of my big tasks is getting the NC8 fully operational again. So that's what I'm going to focus on today. All right, so here's what was going on with the NC8. So this relay has kind of gone bad. And what I mean by that is this is an over voltage protection relay, so that whenever we are using the DC cable, so using 28 volt DC power, this relay is supposed to keep an eye on the voltage, and if the voltage ever gets too high, and in this case about 36 volts, this is supposed to trip. And what it does is it signals the fault board to fault out the cart, and it immediately disables the voltage regulator and completely kills the generator, and then it idles the engine as well. So it's designed to protect the whatever aircraft that happens to be connected to it from getting a DC voltage spike if you're using a DC voltage. Now this one, it failed, but in a weird way. And basically, instead of tripping at 36 volts, it's tripping at 25 or so, and it keeps faulting out the cart to the point that we can't use it as intended. Now, what we did find out through a lot of testing is where the set and reset points are, because if the voltage comes down, this will self-reset. So you can hit the reset button on the cart and try again. What we came up with through some trial and error experimentation is if we put a resistor ahead on the sensing line, this still sees the it sees the voltage, but it's the voltage that makes this thing work as it's intended to, because like I said, this thing is tripping at too low of a voltage. So with this resistor, we can kind of trick this into thinking that it's seeing a lower voltage, even though the cart is producing the correct voltage. It allows this thing to operate, because this is almost extremely hard to find and almost impossible, because that company no longer exists. And they're the ones that built this also. This is not a common relay. Outside of this, we'd likely have to engineer in a fix using commercially available stuff and come up with our own idea as far as making this work. But this is where we're at with this. So this is going to get wired in. It's just a resistor with a little wire and harness that I soldered up. Just wanted to show you this before I shrink tube this. Alright, so to do this, get some gas. Got my gas-powered soldering iron. I absolutely love these as I don't need to be anywhere near a power source other than making sure it's filled with gas. There we go, she's full. Yes. So the other neat advantage is I can change out the tips in these, and I got the heat pipe on there now, so I can run this for, this is really effective with shrink tubing, but there's also a soldering iron tip and a torch tip. It's, to me, this is a lot more versatile than just a basic electric soldering iron, and then also having to need a separate heat gun on top of that. So, go ahead and shrink this. Get some good overlap there. On. Haha. Hopefully that picks up on camera, but yeah, it's kind of hot inside there. But let's see, turn up the heat just a little bit with the valve. This thing is extremely effective at what it does. I hear a jet outside. On the subject of airplanes, something that I am going to be experimenting with soon is a tripod for the big camera that I got, which anytime you guys have seen zoom in shots of airplanes like taking off and whatever, that's my big camera, but it's only been, we've only run it handheld. I'm going to try out a fluid head tripod so I can get much more stable shots, and hopefully that goes well. If it does, I know you guys will end up liking it, because a lot more stable shots on some of these jets, especially the jets, because keeping up with a fast mover as it's going past the camera, that is really tricky. All right, now to put this back in. And I already got the sense wire with the resistor already where it needs to be. Right, there's one mostly in. I want to get in there. Nice. And I remember when I removed this, didn't have any screws on the bottom. There we go. Now, I'm gonna have to wire this in to where it needs to go. I'll leave that out of my way. I'll get the other stuff landed where it needs to go. It's all labeled. These three were on number 6. Yep. There we go. Everything is tightened up, except these two. All right, so now this is where I gotta get creative. We're trying to fool the relay, but not the rest of the machine. The rest of the machine needs to operate at the right voltage. We need to fool this thing into seeing a lower voltage at where it is currently tripping and resetting. So I'm gonna have to clip these two connectors here and solder this there. So not a lot of harness to work with. Never mind, I got a lot more harness to work with. All right, let's do it. So I've got the solder. I'm just gonna clip these out of, clip those out. I need to get rid of this zip tie like that. Let's find my wire strippers like these. And let's just snip off a, get it tendon ready. Where's my iron? I left it up top side. There it is. Oh, thanks, Justin. Huh?
Hopefully we know where the hardware is.
Yeah.
No.
We didn't put the bolts back in the holes.
No, we did not.
Oopsie. I think there's a tool tray that's got all the things in it that...
I choose to believe you.
We'll look for it here momentarily. Alright, so... Alright, we'll let this get up to temperature. Clean up the area in the meantime. The only tricky part about these gas irons is if I gotta set it down, I want to put someplace where the exhaust ports are pointing up. You only make that mistake once when you almost light something on fire when you set it down the wrong way. Alright, get a little of that. Just let the heat do the work. If I'm having to force the solder, it means the material is too cold to work. More there. Alrighty. And before I forget this next step, I'm gonna go find some heat shrink real quick. Hey, actually, do you want to be my third hand real quick?
Okay, first.
Because I don't have a mechanical set with me.
I don't have no helping hands around here.
That's what we're for.
Yeah, true.
Alright. I'll put them together if you want to melt them.
See if I can solder left-handed real good.
Alright, go for it. Alright, they're melted, they're together. Alright, cool. You gotta hold it while it cools, that's the trick. Otherwise, you end up with a failed joint. They're stuck together. Excellent. That's not going anywhere now.
At least you remember to put the heat shrink on first.
Oh, I've done that too many times to count. You always forget something like that. Alright, fire in the hole.
Ready?
Yep.
Down.
Alright, Justin's gonna go take it for a lap around the field, put some warmth into that engine before we run it into power gen mode. Don't like to thrash on a cold engine. Alright, so when we do this, it's gonna be noisy, and obviously I can't talk over that unless I dub it during the edit. But what we're looking for is, I'm gonna put the meter on it, is it should go up to and hold 28 volts, which is where we want it, and then I'm going to intentionally overvolt it by running the voltage up to about 36, and it should trip and fault the machine, which is intended. That's the intended behavior. And again, we want this thing to actually have all of its protections working. It's because overvolting electronics, they don't like that, and we definitely don't want to hurt anything on any of our airplanes. So this is why we're doing this. This is kind of a critical thing. We love using the NC8. It's convenient. It's self-propelled, so it's easy to move around, and has AC and DC power capabilities. So like with the ME262, we can plug into DC cables. It has a lot of DC amps that it can push out and help start engines and save having to draw down the battery by cranking up the turbines. Because ME262 in our case has electric starters, and you can battery start it, but it's not great on the battery. So we tend to prefer using the NC8 for doing that, and then obviously doing the AC power on any of the other airplanes like the F4. it's actually working, but it's not tripping where it needs to be. Gonna have to look into that a little further. What's going on, Jack?
Oh, well, just back here putting the rear canopy shuttle valve back in.
That thing.
Again. It's really hot out here. I am going to fill the floor of the Phantom with sweat by the end of the day because it is very hot outside today.
How's it looking?
Got it in there. It's torqued. I just got a safety wire, all the nuts back together, put the nut plate on, and then we can put air on the jet and test it.
Nice. Like we got the manual too.
Yep, we got the books, got the references, everything we need.
Cool.
We got our tools organized and everything.
It didn't leak on the bench, I don't think, right?
No, it did not. It is set to go.
Good.
So.
Hang on a second. I got something for you. There you go, buddy.
Oh my gosh. You know, I thought I was your biggest fan, but I think this is your biggest fan.
See, it is.
This comes in handy.
Yes, they do, especially this time of year.
Feel that. Oh.
Enjoy it. You're gonna get better use out of it than me right now. I don't envy you for having to work in that tight space there.
No, it's not the first time I've been back here.
Not your first rodeo, huh?
No. But now I got a fan to keep me cool, which significantly improves the situation.
I guess you could say that's a fan with a PH at this moment.
It is a fan. I'm a fan fanatic and a Phantom fanatic.
Oh, so many puns. I love it.
It's so fun, isn't it?
It is. Oh, we love it. All right, so where we are at with the power cards. Well, when it was on the test bench, that relay worked with that resistor on the test bench and just like it's supposed to per the manual. Put it in the cart and it doesn't trip like it did on the workbench. So you get to troubleshoot that a little bit more. And then we looked at the AC side and we were adjusting the voltage. There's a dirty potentiometer on that side, so whenever you're adjusting it, it shoots from 115 to 150, which is not good. So we got to investigate that now too. So we're going to consider this down for maintenance still and keep going. Well, we're going to keep plugging away at it, but I'm happy that it's actually holding like it's supposed to. It's not tripping at 20 volts like it did before. So I'm somewhat happy about that, but we still got to dig a little deeper. You guys are in for a treat. I just got word that the B-25 is about to take flight. And what better opportunity to go test that new tripod, especially after dealing with this silly power cart, which I am super annoyed with at the moment. So let's go film a B-25. Oh yeah.
Hi, it's Lone Star Flight Museum, and we're about to do a maintenance flight on our B-25. After every annual inspection, before we would carry passengers, we do a flight on it with just crew. So just about to start this up. Hang on and watch.
Awesome.
Where?
wood head tripod. I know some of that's going to be technique, but I like that a lot better than doing it by hand. So I'm gonna keep up with that, and yeah, more practice I get with it, I think it'll turn out even better. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down below what you think of this compared to any time beforehand when I was running this, you know, handheld. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next time.